Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Colony Drop, a Gundam podcast. My name is Brian.
My name is Isaac. This is your favorite podcast where we talk about them from the movies to the OVAs, the anime series, and, of course, the models, Brian.
AKA Gunpla, one of our favorite pastimes.
Absolutely. I'm going to say that building models has kind of gone hand in hand with almost every series I've seen, just each year, every passing decade at this point. I've just enjoyed the models. How about you, Brian?
Yeah, I agree. There's building a model is so much fun, right? It's so interactive. It's a lot more fun than getting an action figure. And I do love action figures. I have way too many of them. But I think when you get a Gunpla or a Gundam model, you remember it more, right? You don't just buy it, take it home, put it on a shelf. Your blood, sweat, and tears go into making that thing. And so I feel like it's more memorable, and if you put enough effort into them, they look pretty neat. So
it also gives you more flexibility. An action figure, of course, right? Because you can customize the hell out of a Gunpla.
Yeah, so many more options are open to you, with the Gunpla. You can repaint the whole thing, just part of it. You can make it look completely different. You could beat it up and make it look all weathered. You can combine it with other models to just kit bash it and make it a completely, use it as a base, and the end result will be something completely different. It's kind of like Legos, but for older people.
I guess so. Although nobody's ever stepped on like a Gunpla piece and screamed in pain with their bare foot.
I don't know. Some of those ones can get pretty pointy.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Well, today we're actually going to talk about our next 5 Gunpla projects. At least our sort of brainstormed vision that we have in our heads. Things change. Sometimes you can't get a model. Sometimes, a project goes on the back burner. But these are sort of our top 5 ideas kind of churning in our brain. Right, Brian?
Yeah, that's right. I'm going to list my 5 in terms of increasing interestingness.
Okay. Interesting category ranking. All right. So we'll go from bland to wow.
Yeah, bland to wow. Well, how did you rank yours, Isaac?
Mine was actually a bit more, I wouldn't say random, but I put them in categories that were kind of independent of themselves. So, one's a type of suit that I almost never am interested in. The other one's very gun focused. One's technically not a suit. It's a mobile armor. One's something sort of a mashup or an upgrade, I guess, of a type of suit. And the other one is a mobile suit, but it's very focused on I guess it's accessory, I guess you could say.
Got it. Okay. All right. Yeah. Kick us off.
It's a diversity of projects that I wanted to give myself. But kicking us off, in no particular order of importance, this one is, I essentially just want to buy it and build it. I don't want to add on a lot to it, really. I just really want to focus on getting it done well. As you know, Brian, I'm not too big on the Gundams themselves compared to like the villain mobile suits, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this one always stuck out to me, and it's from a controversial series piloted by a controversial pilot. It's the Gundam Providence from Gundam Seed. Yes, our big turtle backpack, spiky turtle doom Gundam that shows up at the end of the series. Piloted by Rada Crusade.
How dare you, sir, accuse Mulaflaga of being in that beast of a Gundam?
I confused them for one obvious reason, which we'll get to when we actually watch the series. I mean, I just always liked the Gundam Providence because not just it was a villainous mobile suit, a villainous Gundam, but they actually really kept a lot of the Gundam colors. If you look at it kind of closely, they're a bit darker in tone, but for the most part, it's the Gundam colors. It looks like heroic Gundam. They just sort of maybe villainized the face a little bit, and the spiky backpack isn't doing it any favors. But I always thought it was pretty cool, and I'd really like to have one.
I think that is a very underappreciated suit in the Seed timeline, from like a design perspective, because it's not in very many episodes. It's in 2 max, I think. Towards the end.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's pretty much only in the final battle, I think.
Yeah. Which is kind of a shame because, like you said, it reminds me a lot of the GPO2 from 0083.
Oh, interesting.
Because if you remember, the GPO2 also had like darker shading on it,
Right.
And I feel like the Providence has that as well. And same thing like you said with the face, it's a little bit meaner. I don't know if they gave it like a sterner, I don't want to say smile, but like the mouth line. I don't know, it just looks more sinister a bit. And but beyond that, you're right. It keeps the Gundam colors, which is weird because it definitely looks like a villain.
That's really what sold me on it because since I'm not too into the other main Gundams, which are all driven by heroes, this one was clearly aesthetically designed to be, upon closer inspection, clearly the villain's mobile suit.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd want a master grade. I'd kind of put all my power into it to make sure it looks like the as seen on TV version. And then, yeah, that's really what I'm going for. I want to get as close as I can to the actual Gundam Providence, having it built completely, as accurately as I can. And I think I'd really be happy with the finished product, in my mind at least. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there a master grade Gundam Providence?
Pretty sure there is. Saw with my own two eyes at a Barnes and Noble, and I didn't.
You are right. You are right. There is one. That is quite the box. Holy crap.
It's a bit dramatic.
It's a smidge, but I like it. It looks good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Ready to destroy Earth with Genesis. So, Brian, what is on your list? What is the number one, or I guess number 5, I should say? What's the bland on your list of 5?
The blandest idea is to just create a sort of as seen on TV version of the 8th MS team. And I have
whole team.
Yeah, because remember,
wow.
I think I may have talked about this in our Gunpla episode, or maybe it was our How to Get into Gundam episode a long time ago. But a long time ago, back when Amazon was selling off all of its like overstocked Gundam inventory, that was like the U.S. versions of the Master Grade kits that came out back when Master Grades were actually being distributed, like with English instructions and things like that. They were selling all the 8th MS team suits for like real cheap. It was like $10 or something like that. And so I got all of them for,
wow.
$30, which is great because normally each one is like $30, or at least back then. They might be a little cheaper today, and they're older kits. They're from like the early 2000s or like mid-ish 2000s. But they're all master grade and they're all really solid builds. They still hold up pretty well today. But for that price, you can't beat that. So the only thing I really need, like I have 2 ground Gundams and an EZ8. The only thing I would really need is I would really like to get the Goof Custom in there, the Norris Packard special.
Wait, are you including him in the 8th MS team or no?
Well, I would like to, I think I had two ideas. You either have the 8th MS team looking up at him like on that building thing that he comes out. Yeah.
They're on a coffee table and he's like over by the TV. They're like, oh shit, he's on top of that 50-inch.
Yeah, or they could do that pose, where he's holding the EZ8 hostage in front of the rest of the team.
Oh, that's cool too.
Yeah. So I would really like to do one of those. That would also give me a chance to do something I've never really done before, which is trying to weather the suit. Out of the box, the 8th MS team suits, they're very white, they're very plain. And if you watch a show, they're more beat up than that. So I feel like those, you really got to rough them up to make them look kind of more like the show. So that could be an adventure that I've never really done before.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, not to jump in your brain, but would you like buy like some type of tank or APC model and sort of kit bash the little hover tank?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, cool.
Absolutely. And I have gone to I will tell you that whenever I go to Michael's, I always, and I guess maybe not everyone has a Michael's where they live, but Michael's is like our, like California's local like craft chain, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every time I go there, I look for like something that looks like the hover truck. I've never found anything, exactly right. But I'm sure people out there have some ideas of how to make the hover truck. I would also, in addition to the hover truck, I would also need a GM head to put on one of the ground Gundams. And that GM head is only on the ground GM. So if anyone has an extra ground GM head from their ground GM master grade that they don't want anymore, please send it to me.
You know what? I mean, maybe you'll be able to 3D print it or something, just since it's the head, or I don't know, eBay or something.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a cool project. Yeah, man, you really like 8th MS team.
Well, I think it's a great show, and then with that price, how do you pass that up?
With savings like this, how can you not get the 8th MST?
I have way too many Gunpla. I'll throw that out there. But I also will say that I've gotten a lot of good deals on some of the ones that I have. So
Yeah, you gotta keep your eyes open.
yeah.
Keep your eyes open.
All right. What's your number two, Isaac?
All right, my number two. This is what I call like my gun project. Okay, because this mobile suit, like I think in my head, I'm gonna spend the majority of my time focused on the gun itself.
Mm-hmm.
Calling this a Gelgoog sniper.
Ooh, I
Now,
like it already.
in my head, I envision sort of maybe an orange or light red Gelgoog, not Char. Okay, not Char.
Wait,
He is
hold
a
on. You
traitor.
can't do. You're gonna teeter on Char if you do light red.
Okay, it'll be watermelon. There you go.
Watermelon.
Right.
Well, if it's
Almost
watermelon, will you put little black dots on it too?
maybe it'll be like the shell casings or something. Yeah, little green trim. Okay, I imagine this Gelgoog. It's like I don't know. It's like their specialized sniper or something for like whatever side story I have in my head, and I almost want to design a gun that's like over 12 inches or something. It is just a sniper rifle that I kind of kit bash. Maybe you can like glance at it and you'd be like, oh, okay, he took like a gun from here, a barrel from there, blah, blah, blah. He put like a reactor on it or something from like this model. And it's just like this awesome looking gun that this Gelgoog sniper is using. So I just envision this massive, long gun. Freud is grinning at me.
I was gonna say there's so many jokes I could make, but I won't do that.
This is a family show.
Because I don't click that button on YouTube when you upload that says like this is only for adults. So
anyways, that's my vision. Like it will be wielding a gun essentially twice its length.
That's pretty awesome. Will the gun have a stand, or is this for like a space suit, or?
I envision it in space, but a stand might be required. Maybe I'll use like clear plastic beams to kind of make the stand. So yeah, I just think it'd be awesome to have like a mobile suit that's just focused on just the big gun.
I don't think you're gonna get anyone arguing with you that big guns aren't cool.
No.
So, are there any big guns that you're taking inspiration from for this?
Not really. Originally, I thought like maybe a double Zeta gun, but then I was like, no. And then I thought, well, I really can't rely on the Gundam guns like, the Buster Cannon or anything like that because they're too heroic in a way, or they're too colorful for a Gundam. This to be very Zeonic, it's going to have to essentially be one color. Zeon only uses weapons that are essentially all black or all gray.
Yeah.
I think the closest thing would be maybe the beam bazooka that some of the DOMs use, the space DOMs.
Yeah.
But that's again a beam bazooka. This thing visually has to look much more like almost a mega beam particle sniper rifle. If you can imagine something like that in your head.
Have you seen Gato's big gun from his custom Gelgoog? That might be like a smaller version of what you're looking for.
Maybe, but no. I think there's a rifle that in one of the pocket the Gelgoog uses, but it's not the length that I'm looking for.
Yeah, no, I don't think this was in the show. It's only in like some art, and I think they may have included it in the master grade Gelgoog for him. Maybe that's what you should do. Maybe you should pick that one up as a base because it has that gun already included.
Maybe I should and just build on top of it. Yeah. Gato would earn my respect. Okay.
Oh yes, here. This is what you want.
I think I see what you mean. That long gun with like wire underneath it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's actually close, but mine's bigger.
Yeah, of course.
But this is a perfect thing to build off of.
You would need to augment. It'd be like Gato's gun, but if it worked out for 2 years.
There you go. Pretty much, or I don't know, Gato's gun, but they like stripped a moose-sized like beam cannons to like slap on it or something like that.
Oh, maybe that could be the in-story explanation for why it's so big.
Pretty much. I mean, maybe there's a point at Xeon at the war where they just figured, you know what, we've got a lot of damaged moose-sized laying around, strip their guns off and attach them to like some type of beam rifle and just hand it to our snipers.
I like that explanation. I think that
There
would.
you
I think
go.
that would. I think that would work.
But I sort of, as a tribute, I guess, to our recent playthrough with the Formula Wars, I kind of really liked how the light red Gelgoog looked in that. So I think that was
Yep.
Charles's Gelgoog, like Major Charles. But
Yep. So my number 2 is also a sniper. It is the GM Sniper 2. My
oh,
my love, my favorite 1-year war suit, the GM Sniper 2. I just think that thing looks so cool, and I just want to make the best version of that I can. Kind of like you and your Providence, you know. I just really want that one to
yeah.
kind of shine like it came off the factory floor, like when you. Because sometimes you build a model, and then you look at the back of the box or the side of the box in a model's case, and you think, man, mine doesn't look very good at all compared to the one on the box. But this one, I think I would like to try to make it look better than the one on the box. So it's going to require a lot of nice bright white paint, but I really want that green visor to really shine and shimmer, and it won't be as big as the sniper rifle that you're planning for your Gelgoog here, but it'll be a respectable, a respectable weapon here.
Maybe it should have been. Maybe then this GM snipers would have lived instead of getting massacred by the Comper.
Look, I'm just saying that the GM Sniper 2s that were massacred by the Kemper, that was not a good showing. 100% agree. Didn't win any awards, but the ones that were piloted by the White Dingo team, I think those fared a little better. So maybe we should focus on the White Dingo team instead of the poor showing in 0080.
You know what? I think that visor really makes it, right? Like without the visor, they're just mooks. They're just run of the mill grunts for the cannon fodder, really. But the visor is such a cool part of them.
Yeah, I think it's the visor, and it's also the color scheme. There's no red, and it's the bright white and the blue. I think that looks very simple and clean color scheme, and then you put that visor on it, and it's perfect.
Yeah, sets them apart from the run of the mill GMs with the red little tank top they all run around in.
What's that term in Star Trek? Right? Is it the red shirts? Yeah,
red shirts.
Is that a coincidence, or do you think they made the gyms red as a reference to that? I can't imagine Star Trek was that big in Japan, but
I'll say it's a coincidence, but also maybe it's just like a visual, quick visual, since Xeon never had anything that was red and white.
Except for Charles's Gelgoog in Formula Wars 0122.
We know how that ended.
Oh, not well for Charles.
No.
All right, what's number 3, Isaac?
Number 3, this is my mobile armor pick. Yes, I know they don't sell this, at least not in the size that I want. And yes, I know that it's going to take a lot of, 3D printing or plastic warping to actually get the shapes I need. But I would really like a master grade size Neue Zeal. It would be awesome. It would be the talk of the town of the Gunpla community.
It would also be enormous.
Yeah, you got me there, but it's conceivable. It's just a matter of engineering, planning, and logistics. The Neue Zeal, as awesome as it was, I'm surprised we haven't seen more of it, right? How has it not shown up in side stories or anything like that, or brought back in a future series? Because Full Frontal and Neo Zeal on the sleeves, they brought back a ton of mobile suits, more or less. Well, how come we never saw a Neue Zeal? That was like the perfect time to see a Neue Zeal again, but we never did. So yeah. I'd pretty much want it back in the same colors as Gato had. Just your typical Xeon green, or I can't really think of a customization I'd want to give it. Like, yeah, nothing really comes to mind except, Gato's Neue Zeal, which, comment below if you disagree with me, that was the peak of old type mobile suit design and capabilities. I feel like that Gato's Neue Zeal got us as close as a new type could get to using bits and funnels, because his little arms and stuff were on wires. They more or less let him attack as like funnels and bits, but after that everything sort of just switched to the nice stuff was only for new types. And Gato, we've never heard that he was a new type. He's an old type, but he really sort of was given the best racehorse, I think, as far as old types could have.
Yeah, I don't think this thing needs any customization. It is just imposing enough on its own. I'm looking at some models of it right now, and when you stop and see it in a still versus it being very sort of busy in the animation, it's pretty intimidating. And trying to figure out how big this thing would be if you did a master grade one. There is a 1 by 400 scale
Right.
model of it, and it comes with a small GPO3. And it looks like Noisiel is about 5 to 6 times as tall as the GPO3. So if we assume that the GPO3 in master grade scale is about 7 to 8 inches or so,
Right.
yeah, that would be that would be a 3 foot tall, 3 to 4 foot tall thing. That would be
Gunpla.
pretty damn impressive if you could pull that off.
And it would look damn nice
It would.
because
It
not
would.
that many of them are around. Yeah.
You would have to put that like on the top of your entertainment center or something.
Pretty much.
Like
yeah.
in a big flying
Oh.
pose, or maybe hang it from your ceiling.
Hang it from it'll need like a steel cable to hang from the ceiling. I'll say this also about the Neue Zeal. It was the peak, the pinnacle of mobile armor technology. After that, they were all kind of done.
Well, you had the thing that
What the transforming mobile suits?
no. What
Oh.
the Neo Zeong that full frontal had?
Oh, that thing was so weird. I mean, we'll get into it in our unicorn episode, but like that thing, like you needed a mobile suit to get into that, so it was like a mobile suit for mobile suits. I thought that was so weird. It got too meta for me.
Yeah, there was a lot of space magic in that show.
Yeah, it would be like what it'd be like watching Cars and like Lightning McQueen like gets inside of a truck and like starts driving somewhere.
Don't give Disney any ideas, okay?
Yeah, too late.
Oh, all right. Yeah, that would be a massive undertaking, but I like it. I like where your head's at,
Thank you.
and I want
Thank
to see
you.
it.
And what is your number 3 now that we're moving from bland to, I guess, faint grin?
My number 3 is I've always wanted to do something that involves like they have those fun stands for funnels or bits where they're all like connected via either plastic or wires or something that are clear, and so you can pose all the funnels in around the mobile suit. I've always wanted to do that. I have the master grade high new.
I knew.
Yeah, so I really want to put that together, paint it up all nice and get that pose going, because it has those pretty cool looking funnels with I think the blue part, the blue beam effects. I forget if it comes with those or if you have to buy them separately, but I know that someone out there sells them. So yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool. It's a pretty big suit too, so I'm gonna need a big area to display all of these projects.
You know what? The high new, like, I really like the design, don't you? It's the white and the purple. They look so good together. I don't know. I almost want to say it was maybe peak of the Gundam evolution.
I agree, and I've always
Yeah.
liked it. Same reason. Totally agree. There was peak as well. I think that was kind of the point, right? I mean, it was Amuro's
Yeah.
last suit, so
Gonna close it out. Yeah.
I have a hard time describing the high new, because if you look, the new Gundam itself is a pretty good design, but I think when you see the high new, you're like, oh yeah, that one's better.
You're like, of course.
Like, yeah, that's way
Like,
better.
why did we send this out to combat?
The high new has been redesigned a few times over the years, but there's still like the very first master grade I think they put out of the high new was like kind of weird looking, and people didn't really like it, so they made a different one a few years later that looks way better.
I'd even go so far as to say that the high new was more peak Gundam than the unicorn. Like the unicorn is almost too specialized.
The unicorn's cool, don't get me wrong. I really like the design. It's a little gimmicky though.
Yeah, it's a one-trick pony. Doesn't really have the Gundam colors.
It's got that transformation thing going on, which is neat. Don't get me wrong. I like it. And
Right.
the whole psycho frame is neat. But I feel like the high new is just, like you said, the peak, the pinnacle. It's got everything all in one. I don't know. It's always struck me like looks like a pirate or something. The funnels make kind of look like a cape. The way it's angled or something is just really good. It's really intimidating. I like it's intimidating for a Gundam, but it still looks heroic. How about that?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, considering it's Amuro's last suit, it had to look heroic.
Yeah, yeah, and the white and purple is pretty unique. I don't think we get that combination very much.
Yeah,
I
true.
can't think of Gundam Bale was similar on
Yeah.
purpose. I think that was a sort of an homage, but Hainu clearly did it better in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just it's a bit of a callback. They probably did like a sort of a compromise because on the one hand, it's sort of a callback to what Tomino wanted with an original all-white Gundam, and this thing's pretty damn white. And they gave it enough color, I think, to make it a bit interesting of a look. It's I never knew Amuro was much of a purple guy, but they put his little unicorn on it. So
Oh yeah, man, his Zeta was purple too, so white and purple.
yeah, but
Yeah, and a note to
original.
a note to listeners on the Hainu. So there are two master grades for Hainu. So there was the original one that they released was in 2007, and that one just I don't know, it has funky proportions. It doesn't look like the Hainu to me, and so I think Bandai knew that as well, and so they released a newer one, redesigned by Hajime Katoki in 2014, and that's if you're gonna get a Hainu master grade, I would highly recommend the one from 2014, not the one from 2007. They look very different in my opinion, and only one of them looks like the Hainu, so get the 2014 one. All right, Isaac, what's your number 4?
All right, my number 4. Bear with me. This is just the project name. It doesn't completely match what you might think in your head. The Domdom is my number 4. It's
The Domdom?
the Domdom, like a Dom and a Gundam. It's the Domdom.
Oh, I get it now.
Yeah. All right. So as you know, I love Doms. I think they're probably one of the coolest designs that come out of Xeon. This one is sort of much a mashup of a Gundam and a Dom, but it's more of a Dom turned into like a monster mobile suit. Like if Xeon put like funding specifically into a Dom being like their sort of counter to the Gundam, like what would it look like? And it's this. So I vision it as, a much beefier looking Dom, like it's got kind of a more busty shoulder pads and chest and all that. It's still got the huge legs and all that, but I also wanted to have sort of a dendrobium type backpack. And like this is, for whatever happened, whatever side story or alternate timeline, Xeon turned the Domdom into like their trump card. I can't use that word anymore. They're ace in their hole, the ace up their sleeve, the card up their sleeve. So yeah, I just picture this as, what would, in the eyes of Xeon, what would they make their hero Dom look like? And it would be this.
Can you codename it Busty Dom so that when people type that into Google,
Sure, we'll go with Busty Dom. It'll have chest cannons.
I might have to check the adults only for this podcast.
There you go. The pilot will be a woman called Polly Darden. Our first female ace.
Oh, and will she team up with the Gelgoog with the really, really long gun?
Probably. Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah.
Together they were unstoppable.
There you go. One goes in the front and one goes in the back. Color wise, I feel like it should sort of be a call out to all Xeon colors. So there's going to be a little bit of, aggressive red in there, a lot of the green, but also some purple and of course gold.
How much of a Dom is this? I assume being a Dom, it has to have Dom legs.
Yes, it's got the legs and the face, but I think the shoulder pads can be a bit more, over the top, and the backpack, of course, is very over the top. Yeah, but visually, you look at the face and you'll be like, that's a Dom, or at least a Dom base.
Can I make some suggestions?
I
think because I know you love the gun cannon, sort of like the 0083 gun cannon. I'll call it the GM cannon.
Yeah.
The GM cannon 2, I believe.
Right.
Not the simplistic looking GM cannon 1, but the GM cannon 2.
On the moon.
Yes. But I also think that what's pretty defining feature of the Dom is that bazooka, like you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
So what if you had like the Dom bazookas, but as like a Dom cannon with those bazookas?
I love that.
It keeps the bazooka, but gives you the flexibility to have another weapon too. I don't know. Could be cool.
That's awesome. And then actually, like, would show that Xeon was kind of taking notes from the Federation, right? They're like, okay, we need to see what's working for them and maybe borrow some of it.
This gun cannon over here is kicking our ass. Put some cannons on our suits.
You know what we need? We need a suit that has cannons on his shoulders.
Do you think the first time Xeon saw the gun cannon, they were like, "Son of a, why didn't we think of that?" Like,
Apparently not, because the Black TriStar saw them and didn't think much of them.
oh, that's true. I feel like for the shoulders, I feel like you got to get some like Zaku spikes in there somehow.
Maybe. I mean, there should be spikes. Maybe there should be like the DOM's version of what spikes would be. So they might be a bit more angular, I think. But yeah, I mean, if it's going to be sort of a Xeon hero unit, a Domdom, they have to have spikes somewhere.
The busty Domdom. I love it.
Yeah. But it can't look like a Dom and a Zaku mashed together. It has to look more like, Xeon saw the Gundam and then said, okay, take some of a Dom and let's make our own match. And then, yeah.
Got it. So you don't want it to look like a chimera, I'll call it.
No, it's not going to be a chimera. It's going to be if a Dom was almost, taken by like all the good engineers in the Earth sphere, what would they do to upgrade it into like a hero unit?
Yeah. I like it. I want to see it.
Thank you.
You have such grand ambitions, Isaac.
I mean, go big or go home, right? I mean, there's no limits to our imagination. Brian, what is your good? We're not at wow yet, but we're more at good or impressive.
Okay, my good / impressive is, I think I've mentioned this one before, is I want to build a display of the members of the Chimera Corps. And the reason why I like the Chimera Corps is because most of the pilots in the Chimera Corps all have custom suits with like weird paint schemes. And I just think if you put them all together, they would look neat. And so the Chimera Corps, for those of you who don't know, it's a sort of an ace pilot, anti-new type squad formed by Cecilia Zabi and this guy named Hugh Kelvin near the end of the 1 Year War. And there's a lot more info now about the Chimera Corps today than there was 15 years ago or whatever when I first learned of the Chimera Corps. And I think that's because there's an ongoing manga series right now called The Return of Johnny Raiden that is delving like really deep into the Chimera Corps lore. Because before, I remember back in the day, it was just this sort of ace pilot corps formed by Cecilia, and I feel like there wasn't too much else out there about it. But now there's way more members, known than there was back then. But usually the members of this team pilot Gelgoogs or either the high mobility type, which is the one. It's basically a Gelgoog with like a space, like a better backpack for space, or the Gelgoog cannon, which is basically the high mobility type, but with a cannon on the back. But to give you some examples of the different colors, there's Johnny Raiden. He has a black, or he has a red and black one, which is similar to Char's, but his is a deeper red, and the black stands out a lot more than Char's pink. So if you imagine Char's Gelgoog, where Char had like the maroon, Johnny Raiden has black, and I just think it looks way better than Char's Gelgoog. So I really want to build that one. There's a guy named Thomas Kurtz. He has this sort of very, like, I'll say like real world olive green version of it, which is kind of ugly, but it's pretty unique. And he has the cannon one, so he's got the cannon on there, and he's got these weird, like, I don't want to call them decals, but these red and yellow stripes in certain areas, which is pretty unique. There was two cyber new types on the team. One of them, his name was Uma Lightning. He has this pretty neat one that's like sort of a white and black base with really light blue shoulder armor and like leg armor and like forearm armor, which is pretty neat. It definitely looks more like a new typey looking version of the Gelgoog. It's a little bit more customized than the other ones. And they sell a premium Bandai version of his kit because you can't really just paint a normal Gelgoog into Uma's. His has some fancy looking leg armor and like a different head and stuff like that. So if you really want the Uma Lightning one, kind of got to shell out for that premium Bandai or try to do it yourself. Whereas the Johnny Raiden and the Thomas Kurtz, you can buy there is a master grade Gelgoog cannon. It's a little old, but there is a master grade Gelgoog version 2.0, and I think they even made a newer version of the Gelgoog cannon, but that was also premium Bandai, so that one's kind of expensive, but it does exist. And then one final one that I looked up, one of the big characters in that new manga, his name is Jacobius Node, and he has one of the craziest paint schemes I've ever seen. It's very similar to the Thomas Kurtz one, where it's like an olive green version, but then that's only half the suit. And when I mean half, I mean vertically half. So you got one half that's olive green and like light green, and then the other half is like zebra stripes but vertical in black and white. So it's this sort of like two-tone looking suit, and he has kind of what looks like a Dom bazooka cannon on his back. So it's pretty neat. I really like it because it's weird. But the point is, they're all different. They're all eclectic. And I think what I want to do is build them all, put them together, and then print out a big version of the Chimera Corps logo, which is a Hydra. And it has this motto on it called Revenge of Ide, which I don't think has ever been explained. But I just think it looked pretty neat. And so there's probably other ones in there too, but those are probably the 4 easy ones to go look at.
That's pretty cool. I like that. That's going to be like a whole little... I don't know. You could have them fight the 8th MS team once you build them.
Oh, man, the 8th MS team wouldn't stand a chance.
I don't know. Shiro's pulled off some more impressive things. I mean, need to remind you what he did when he was in a ball.
That's true. He's going to... Although he only in air quotes, beat Norris by tearing off his own arm, he's going to run out of limbs to tear off if he wants to beat all of these people. So
I'm looking forward to it. I mean, we don't see too many Chimera Core type Gunpla, so having them all together would be pretty awesome, I think.
Yeah, it's also going to require me to buy all of the Master Grade Gelgoogs that exist. I'm going to have way too many Gelgoogs by the end of this.
Probably, but I mean, they're pretty awesome anyways.
I can lend you one when you we'll make your Gelgoog Sniper an honorary member of the Chimera Corps.
There we go. That'd be pretty awesome. Yeah. He'll be, I don't know, he gets deployed or what's it called? Reassigned sometimes depending on the needs of the Midnight Fenrir Corps.
Yeah. It's too bad that you wanted to paint it orange or watermelon. You could have called him Long John Silver, and he could have had like a silver silver paint scheme.
I can't, because silver's too close to like Federation colors.
Oh, that's true.
It would never happen in Xeon. The mere suggestion would get you shot.
They'll shoot me out of that sniper rifle.
Probably. That'd be a cool death. Okay.
All right, Isaac, what's your wow factor?
I don't think it's my wow factor because mine is categorized differently. This one takes me back to the Xeon roots. This is almost more of a, to an extent, a backpack project, sort of. There's some customization in this. I'm calling it my high-speed Zaku. Now, it's a space type again, but I envision it having like a really like long backpack, not so much like, like a weaponized one, but like just tubes and like, casings and things like that behind it. And it's got maybe some fins or like little space wings or extra vernier thrusters on it. It's a high speed, high attack type Zaku thing. In my head, it's pretty cool. I've always liked how external tanks looked, but I always just thought they were a really cool look to it. And it really, depending on how they're designed, it makes the model look faster. It's like painting it red. It's like putting go fast stripes on it.
Yeah, there's that episode of the Simpsons where Homer makes a model of the nuclear power plant and he puts racing stripes on it and he wins because of that. That's kind of what I imagine are going on your Zaku, racing stripes.
Yeah, something like that. I wouldn't put stripes on it. I think it'd be mostly green with some maybe yellow, and yeah, I just envision like lots of propellants, like almost like a train almost, or a helix of propellant tubes behind it, just giving it a ton of speed. Like maybe this was an experiment. Like Xeon was like, all right, we're gonna lose the war unless we make our mobile suits faster. And then like an engineer said, hold on to your hat. And then he showed them like what he built.
I like it. I want to see this helix of tanks. Maybe that's what we can call it, the Zaku helix.
There you go. Yeah, but weapon-wise, nothing too fancy. This whole mobile suit, it's not about an experimental weapon. It's not about, upgrading its armor or anything like that, sensors. They just wanted this thing to be a speed demon.
So what Zaku would this be based on? You said a space type Zaku?
Yeah, a space type. I'd want extra vernier thrusters on it, just so like it would go a bit more faster. Hopefully some big boosters on the back too. But overall, yeah, it would just look like somebody made a Zaku, standard Zaku, and just decided to give it the boost.
I'm really curious to see your design for the wings, because I don't think we've seen a Zaku with wings.
No, we haven't, and they're not too useful in space, so maybe I wouldn't use them. But I picture them sort of more as like the Guff high mobility types we saw in 8th MS team, those sort of purple ones, something along those lines.
Yeah. I like this.
All right, Brian, the suspense is killing me. What is your wow factor level 1?
My wow factor.
Gunpla project.
My wow factor is probably the most ambitious on this list. Most of the things I've said so far you can do with just buying the normal model and maybe some minor customization. But there is one, and I've talked about this on a different episode, but there is one episode of Gundam Evolve that has 3 Zeta Gundams fighting a mobile armor. And all 3 Zeta Gundams are sort of customized. So one suit is piloted by Amuro in a white and purple Zeta Gundam. One is piloted by Shin Matsunaga, who is in Gundam Evolve, he's referred to as the Grey Wolf, but you may remember him from the 1 Year War as the Zeon Ace pilot known as the White Wolf, who had like a white Zaku and a white Gelgoog. But here he pilots a Zeta Gundam, customized Zeta Gundam called the Grey Zeta, but it's not actually gray. It's like a yellowish gold color. I think it has the anti-reflective beam coating, kind of like the Hyakushiki.
Huh.
And then there's a third Zeta Gundam that was meant for Johnny Raiden, but it was reassigned to another girl named Yuri because it was new. It was a new type suit, and obviously Johnny Raiden is not a new type, and that is a red Zeta. So you have these 3 really different looking Zeta Gundams fighting this ridiculous looking mobile armor. It is a giant octahedron that stay with me, that can transform into like a mobile suit, kind of like the Psycho Gundam, but with like stubby legs, and it's very pyramid looking. It's just very strange. I've never seen another mobile armor like this thing. It's called the Geminis, also called the Blue Rose. It's piloted by 6 new types. It has a bunch of different weapons. It's got like arms that it can kind of remote control, big beam weapons, and then it has these small mobile suits that it can send out called Hastas. The suit controls the little mobile suits via its Psychomu system, and it's just pretty crazy. But anyway, the point is I'm going to build the 3 Zetas and then hoping to create some sort of like, I'll have to custom make this octahedron looking thing. There's no way I'd be able to make the full transformed mobile armor version, but I could definitely make the octahedron. Like, that's doable, right? That's just a geometric shape. I could do that and paint it or whatever. But that would go kind of either behind them or in the center. They'd all be flying around it or something. Anyway, quite out there. But yeah, if you've never seen that Gundam Evolve short, go look it up, because that mobile armor is just so ridiculous. It's just cool because it has its custom Zetas in the episode. So
I would even go so far as to say it's almost non-Gundam of a mobile armor, right? It's like...
Yeah, I don't even think they ever say what faction it's affiliated with.
Man, it looks like a I don't know, something out of 40K, like Warhammer 40K, like the Necrons would use this, or it's like a Borg, like from Star Trek, the Borg, like would fly around in this.
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
It's very alien in design, which I don't know, maybe that's what they were going for, but yeah.
Yeah, Gundam Evolve was a weird time. People were experimenting.
Things got weird.
Things got real strange. So I guess I should know. You can buy those 3 Zetas. The Amuro Zeta is a normal kit that you can pick up. It's going to be an expensive kit. Zeta Gundams in general are a little bit more expensive, especially you want the version 2.0, which I think came out in like I don't know, the mid 2010s or so. There is a really old Master Grade Zeta. Don't get that one. That one has a lot of problems. But there is a Zeta Gundam 2.0, and then in addition to releasing the normal, Camille version of the Zeta Gundam, they made the Amuro version. They also made these other two, the Red Zeta and the quote Gray Zeta. But the Gray Zeta and the Red Zeta are premium Bandai kits, so those are gonna be pretty expensive if you really want one, because I don't think they like make them anymore, so you have to just pick it up on eBay or something.
It sounds pretty cool. Zeta, little Zeta alliance.
Yeah, it's just really, I thought it was a unique short, right? Like we don't see a lot of Zeta Gundam team ups, right? And I don't know why. I think it would be a cool area to mine. They've never made an OVA out of like that short, or like the Gundam Sentinel sort of era. Like the Grips conflict, I feel like is ripe for some OVA side stories, but for whatever reason they don't seem to want to go in there. But
well, we've had Origin done. Hopefully we'll get the original series redone, and maybe we'll work our way up to Zeta, and then from there there'll be like sort of a Zeta batch coming out or something like that. That'd be pretty cool, right? There must have been so much stuff going on with like the Titans and Neo Zeon and shenanigans going off in the corners.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that the Amuro Zeta, I mean, I believe that's because he's working with that resistance group on Earth, that we saw briefly in Zeta Gundam, right? Karaba, but then we don't really see him the rest of the time. So there's a whole, you could do a whole side story about Amuro working for Karaba. So I think with Zeta Gundams and transforming and we did get to see some of those in Unicorn a little bit, with the Delta Pluses and all that, but I think there were in that one episode. I think there were some Zeta Plus C1s, I believe.
You know what? Now that we're done with our list, thinking on your list, I think I'm most excited to actually see the 8th MS team with the hover tank, like everybody there. That'd be like so cool. Like your experimental ideas and stuff, those are cool too. But like I don't know, something about the 8th MS team, seeing them all together along with like Elidor and Mikhail in the tank would be so cool.
It's the small tank that does it for you, not the octahedron mobile armor. You want to see the hover tank.
Anybody can throw together a mobile suit from a box. It takes skills to make a hover tank. But you can do it, Brian. We all believe in you. All our fans. Hover Tank 2021.
Yeah, you'll notice that all of my projects involve like multiple suits, so this is going to cost me a fortune.
Yeah, I was going to say, I stick to like one thing at a time that I can focus on.
Yeah, that's my problem. I'm like, no, I'll do these 8 things, and I'll do them all at the same time.
God. I don't think you've even finished painting that board game that you bought. The dungeon one?
No, I haven't. I used some spray paint, and like it I don't know, it didn't go on right, so now I don't know what to do.
Gotta put that white primer on it and then go from there.
It is a primer, but I feel like it didn't prime right. I don't know.
So when in doubt, paintbrush. Well, listeners, those are our little Gunpla lists. Why don't you give us your own? What's next on the schedule for you as far as buying suits to maybe kit bash, or maybe there's models that you just want to make out of the box and get them as close as you can to how they appeared in a manga or an anime series? Let us know in the comments below.
Yeah, and if you have any ideas for any of Isaac's crazy Xeon, projects in terms of shoulder pads, foot armor, spike arrangements, send them his way, because he's going to need it.
Comment below how long and thick the sniper rifle should be.
Yeah, you should call it the Sniper Magnum.
Maybe like the pilot would have like a sense of humor, and he'd put like tiny on he'll stencil tiny on like the side of the gun or something like that, or something. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe that could be
the gun would have its own. The gun would have its own name. Like maybe it needs its own generator too. There's its own Minovsky generator in the gun.
Yeah, so send those ideas in. We looking forward to hearing them, and we want to know what you're doing too. So
don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Take care, everybody.